Just last quarter, we took a look at how recruiting technicians was getting harder. Click costs were climbing, cost per lead was climbing, cost per hire was climbing, and competition was getting tougher. But just 3 months later, almost every one of those trends has flipped. So what happened? Welcome back to another edition of the Tech Check, where every quarter we track changes in the technician hiring market. And we had a few shakeups this quarter. But first, let's start with job search trends. If you were expecting technicians to suddenly flood back into the job market, that's not really what's happening. Search activity ticked up slightly last quarter, but this quarter it completely stalled. Technician job search interest is about 5% lower than it was a year ago. All right, so technicians aren't suddenly searching for jobs again. And that makes this next bit even more interesting. Job board advertising costs have now fallen to the lowest levels we've seen in 4 years. Social media advertising costs are also sitting at multi-year lows. Then, cost per lead dropped nearly 40% since our last update. And finally, cost per hire fell to the lowest level we've measured since the pandemic ended. But that begs the question, if technicians aren't searching more, why did recruiting costs just drop so drastically? The answer isn't that technicians suddenly started looking for jobs again. The answer is that the technician pool actually got bigger, and at the same time, fewer employers were competing for those candidates. In other words, more technicians are participating in the hiring market, even if they aren't actively searching for jobs, and fewer employers are competing for their attention. This combination is what has pushed the technician recruiting costs down all across the board. There is a catch though. Recruiting became cheaper, winning technicians did not. Advertised pay continued to climb and sign-on bonuses remained strong. So while it's costing less to reach candidates, employers still have to put together a competitive offer to actually win them over. And these kinds of shifts and market changes are exactly why we provide these quarterly market updates. Just a few short months ago, recruiting costs were moving in the opposite direction. Today, we're looking at the most opportune technician recruiting environment we've measured in years. Look, markets change, but the shops that recognize those changes early are the ones that benefit the most. If you'd like to explore all of the data behind this quarter's trends, you can download the full Q2 Tech Check below. And we'll be back next quarter to see what changes next. Until then, thanks for watching.